with the province, with nothing else. They didn't sit around waiting for Canada to write up a negotiation package with a little bit of money in it. We're still under their control. If AMC or MKO decide to be sovereign, then my friend needs to get elected by the people, of the people, and of the people. That's sovereignty. That's the old election law. But if the United Chief on Council who elect my friends here, it's not sovereignty. It's still who we are. If the United members electing upon member Chief on Council to elect my friends here. Okay? That's where we are today. If you're going to change your fishing rights, your hunting rights, sovereignty is where we are. It's Fisherman. Like Kiki and McKay have said to me, Fisherman, sweet possession, Mutlantic, Fisherman. That's a high free word. If we don't do that, we're going to be sitting here for the next 4 years saying the same thing. If we go home today and say to our Chief and Council, let's do another election under our own law. Let's deal with our own citizenship law in accordance to what Paul Wallace has done. And who proved that was not. Magalayla, that it's a Bushwagan was under province, natural resources transfer from Canada gave the province. It doesn't matter if it's NPP, conservatives, liberal. They still have to follow those laws. Definitely have to follow, because not just 1993 to 2014, I've been involved with Manitoba Hydro, the province of Canada. And now I have the same mainframe, same thing, is to actually eradicate treaty rights and settle for death. That's what happened to the NFA. We still have NFA, but you read the NFA really closely. For the last 37 years of my life, when you read the NFA, there's nothing in there for us except residential rights. Everything is about Manitoba Hydro. It's about Manitoba, and it's about Canada. And the reason I said this before I leave is this because we put a claim. For 16 years we fought, the Chief and Council fought about building a bridge across our river. 16 years. We won that bridge on the arbitrator's desk. Then the province of Manitoba took it to the Court of Appeal, because that's what it says on the NFA, Court of Appeal. We fought there for 3 years and won. Then Canada didn't show up till 2 years later and challenged the arbitrator's decision. That's what the NFA says. So we fought for 3 years, then we won. Then next intervener, Manitoba Hydro, with the help of the province and Canada, as for the NFA. So we won again. That's what Gary Brewer was the premier. Finally, on that day, when we heard Manitoba Hydro transferring transformers across our river to use our ferry, then we said enough. We took the 3 transformers away from Manitoba Hydro. And Manitoba Hydro went crying to Manitoba, I want my transformers. They took it away from us. We never let go. Till the premier carried to us and said, okay, I want to meet with you guys. Okay, we said, okay. And they came back with a lame excuse. Said, we don't have any money to build a $27 million bridge. Guess who gave money to the province to build the bridge? Manitoba Hydro. All that nonsense that went through the last 16 years, we had to stand up as sovereign people upon our land, upon our rivers. Okay? That's what sovereignty is about. Sitting around here today, talking about our treaty rights, Aboriginal rights, Indigenous rights. international rights. To be sovereign, my friends, to be sovereign. Put up a sick one. What can you see a bit? The bedtime, the bedtime, 6 years. The bag is sticking in their lap. What makes my walk with the truth? We don't have a toilet. We see way, reconciliation. He's not what he's a good mood. Can't tell what's a bad mood. He's taking mood that he likes to pay what collectively he moved out the truth, moved that. Reconciliation, moved that. He's staying also. She don't want to trust the kind of thing. She doesn't trust it. It is still our country. Who people who came here settle in our country because of treaties. Why? Because we made treaties as a nation to another country called England, Royal Imperialist British Crown. They wouldn't know anything, yes? We for contact. And here we are sitting there. We made treaties to a British crown, not Canada. And also forget this was called Section 35(1), where Canada regulars officers treated blah blah blah. That's BS. Why do I say that? We went to court on that too. I have a territory, Treaty 5 territory that the last day of signed in 1885. I have to prove that if my people actually wander around that territory before Canada recognizes under the Constitution of what their right on that. And I say yes. So we have a treaty file which all of us have. So we get mixed up with this kind of stuff. We're here to protect our treaty rights, our indigenous rights, our inherent and inalienable rights. That's what we're here. If you value your treaty and commercial fishing, under the treaty, there is called partnering. You can partner your fish, basically you can sell it. You don't need permission from the province. You don't need permission from Canada. We never asked permission. We sold this stuff to our people with ballot, lard, traded off. That's partnering. So that's what I want to give you that message when you go home. Ask your chief and council of the Indian Act, are they ready to be sovereign or they want to hang around with Canada and their rules and their laws? Thank you.
I heard Danik and Lard there. That was good enough for me. Hello, my name is Dwight York. I represent Tonawanda First Nation as a knowledge keeper. And my issue, I guess, is with the block closures. I don't understand that with the moose management. About 9 years ago, I stood in a meeting with this same guy standing beside me here now. And I closed the meeting down because they closed an area of my trap line where I can't shoot moose in over half the trap line. And that's a long way from my home. So I'm very protective, how did you say it? I want to fight this. And public speaking really gets to me, and I see Anthony smiling at me. Anyway, I want to know, I don't have a problem with road closures, 300 meters on each side of the road, you know, like there's those kind of closures everywhere. But I don't understand block closures. Why is there block closures? My trap line is 60 miles from the nearest area, Moore Lake. And there's a closure where you cannot shoot a moose. and you have to canoe in there or boat in there, mostly canoe because the water is so low. You have to canoe in there and then exercise your right, and then still you're doing it wrong. So there was another closure in our area, Deer Island, which nobody knew about. And an elder exercised his right, and he has to go across the lake 20, 30 miles by boat. He went and killed 2 moose. The NROs are sitting on the dock waiting for him to take away his moose. So that's my closures. We are we're going too close. Okay. Anyway, I worked for Manitoba Conservation at the same time he did. I don't think he knows that. And the way they do their grid, I have to be quick here. I ain't going to fit it all, I guess, in here. And they fly a grid. They tell you how much moose is in the area. And in my trap line, in that small, I think it's 100 by 100 grid kilometers, 2,200 moose. But the conservation officers that were in the meeting at the time, when they're having a moose meeting, moose management meeting, they said there was way less, like under 1,000. And I said to them, well, that's not true, because I know the helicopter pilot, and I work for conservation. There was over 2,200 moose in that grid, and around their closure. And I questioned the NRO officer, I'm not going to state his name, and I said, why is that? Is that because you want to tell us there's less moose in that area? And he had no choice in the meeting but to say yes. Yes, yes, he said. He got mad. That's why we do that, because we want to show the people that the numbers are low so we can continue protecting the moose. And I told him, my grandfather shot moose, my great-grandfather shot moose, I shoot moose, and my children already shoot moose. We know how to take care of ourselves with the sustenance. We're trappers. We know what we're doing and how to live off the land. We know our own sustenance and how to provide and how to take care of the animals. And that's my biggest beef is block closures. We need to readjust that. And they told our people it was only going to be for 5 or 10 years. Here we are, one closure is 30 years old. So we need to revisit those kind of things. And that is what I want to bring to the attention of the people is they say there's no moose, but do your research as well. There is moose in some of those blocks. And I know because I work for conservation. Thank you very much.
Minister Bushy, I don't know if that's a conflict, if you answer a question from a member of your own First Nation.
Thanks, Dwight, for the question. And specifically, I guess for me, and maybe you as well, Black River Saging, GHA 26 is a closure as well we're talking about. But also the conversation that I've heard here today, as well as the conversation that I've heard leading up to today, and something we're very engaged in doing as well is kind of the co-development of the moose management policy. And when I say co-development, I mean folks like yourselves, and not just leadership, chief and council members, but also community residents to be able to participate in that process so that it is a fulsome discussion. Because again, I go back to my earlier comments about who's the front line of the communities. It's you, and Dwight, as you mentioned, you're out there and you see things each and every day. So it's also about achieving something that's achievable, for that matter. If you don't close an area and then set a number so high for a moose population that you're never going to achieve it, even if you stay closed for 30 years or 40 years or 50 years or whatever it may be, just for the sake of being able to say you set a bar that's unachievable. So those discussions, I'm excited to be able to have those discussions, and I know the desire to co-manage that moose management policy is a want on both sides.
You, Minister. I'm trying to get to as many people as I can, so if you can ask a question quickly while the minister's here, and if you want the minister to answer, I'll run back to him.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Biggity, and I'm an advocate and councillor for Granville Lake, Manitoba, Brickle First Nation. We're members out of Matthias Columbia Cree Nation, and I just wanted to let you know the ministers and the Grand Chiefs to not forget our leadership. We nominated the leadership in December of 11, 2023. I took it upon myself to change because Matthias Cologne doesn't have time for us at the time. So we're moving forward with our issues within Grand Lake as leadership. Our headman is Irvin Biggity. Our councillors are Arnold Nose, myself, David Biggity, and Gordon Biggity Sr. And there's hunters and fishers that are from Grand Lake, and our territory is being, there's an agreement with the mining company for an exploration within Grand Lake. So I'd like to sit at the table with you people and get our issues taken care of within our leadership. Thank you.
Rich. Okay, over here.
I just want to summarize. My name is Larry Beardy. I'm from Tatascria, Split Lake, Manitoba. I just want to say we drove about 10 hours. We have a group here from Tatascria, and we want to thank Heather for all her help, acknowledging us and helping us to get here with information, which is very important what we're talking about. We have a letter. Our leadership and our elders, we sat at Windham in Winnipeg, November the 13th, and we wrote a letter to the Prime Minister of Canada and also the Premier, the new elected Premier. And this is what was built up from what happened from the previous government. So I understand the new government is trying to correct the things that the previous government did. So I think we're in the right room here with the new government in power. That's a provincial government. That's what I'm hearing. But anyway, the letter was dated November the 13th, 2022, and it was about asserting sovereignty. The reason for that is we have incidents where the provincial government's natural resources officers, where our students, our youth went to set a net on a river, and the provincial officers took the net out. That was infringing on the rights of our young people. Also, where the previous government, I understand, was issuing exploration for mining, I'm infringing on our culture, our way of life in our territory. This was happening in a very demeaning way, especially for the young people, and also for our people that are living off the land. So we have a letter. I don't know if the representatives want to answer that today, but it's there. I don't know if they want to acknowledge if they received it. We just want to know if they received it. And I know they're probably trying to work on answering it. I don't know. December the 1st was our deadline. Now, in that letter, there is a document because our treaty is very uncertain at this time because of research that our people have been doing. And the document, we found this document about almost 2 years ago now. Life's embarrassing moment. Right treaty, wrong adhesion. And it was written by apparently a government official by John Simmons and the Split Lake Indians. Adhesion 1908. And I want to read. In the final analysis, the necessary changes were made and initialed with the use of scissors and paste and sewing machine. The proper portions of the adhesion were attached to each other and the incident was considered closed. The unraveling of the mystery behind these documents with the curious stitches and dangling threads certainly reinforce, however, recent clarion calls that activists must be historians of the record in order to render their collections intelligible to researchers. I'm just giving you notice today, this will be filed in court. It might affect what happened when the Crown gave his, son or son-in-law or brother-in-law Rupert's land. It might affect us all here because we're talking about colonial title to land and sovereignty. We look for your support. As an individual and as a descendant of my great-great-grandfather that signed this, and also from Katasquia, the descendants will certainly file a claim. And hopefully, we will get these things right that were not done right in the beginning. They got to be corrected. And the other thing, I'm very surprised. Our legal teams have not mentioned these kind of documents, research. We've done the Northern Flood Agreement, we've done all this, but none of our legal team has advised us. We've heard there was a document that was wrongly signed by our elders. We didn't really didn't understand, but now we know. We're going to be sharing these letters. We have an email that you sent, we'll share them, and hopefully everybody will see them. And they'll pray for us.
Now, which minister did you send those letters to? Which minister? Okay, well, he's gone. I'm going to go. You're number 5, I think. You're number 4. Where's EJ? Chief.
Thank you. Miwech EJ Fontaines Nikas Saging Gumji Makwa. Yodem Chief of Saging First Nation. First of all, I want to acknowledge some of the leaders here, fellow chiefs, some of the elders that spoke, some of the people, grassroots people that spoke here. I just want to say on behalf of Saging First Nation and our people that we support all the comments that have been made here. We will also support any action that's taken after the meeting, which I think is important that we do here because we keep talking about these things over and over again. There's unfortunately not enough action being taken after we gather like this. It's great to see everybody in the room here today. It's very powerful message to governments and ourselves as leaders that we need to do something about the infringement of our rights. My people in Saging, we've been fighting with the moose closures. When our people go hunting, we're harassed by conservation officers. Roads are blocked into our hunting areas, and the list goes on. All actions that are being taken by the government conservation officers, but also the Munya Ashak that live in those territories. They're doing what they can to prevent us from exercising our rights. And there's truth to the one person that said we have to get out on the land. We have to go out on the land. Just recently, I've never been a hunter in my life. In the last 3 years, I purchased myself guns. I bought my sons guns so they could go out on the land and hunt. Because it's right. If we don't exercise our rights, they're going to be gone. We have to get out on the land and practice our rights. The one thing that's really bothersome in our area, and actually is an insult to the people and that we live in the territory there, is the selling off of Crown lands. I took an elder the other day towards Stead Road, and our people used to hunt, berry pick there, and all those lands now are all sold off. There's no trespassing signs on those Crown lands, and those are actually treaty lands that are being sold and auctioned off without our consent, without our even being consulted on those. Everywhere you look in the world, when there's a struggle against imperialism and colonialism, there's been revolutions. We need to do a peaceful revolution to overthrow these powers that are preventing us from being free people, like what Ovid and the elder said there. Because if we don't do nothing, we're going to continue to be living in colonial concentration camps on the reserves. The biggest challenge we have right now is the Indian Act. It's still a document, a racist piece of document that still exists today, 150 years old or whatever it is. And we can't seem to shake that off our lives. And until that document is gone, we'll continue to have troubles. It'll make us fight over money, fight over things that don't matter. But we continue to fight over things that are imposed upon us by that Indian Act. And I'm hopeful that as chiefs and as leaders, and hopefully the process that Ovid is working on, that we can come together with a solution to get rid of the Indian Act. Because if we don't do that, we're going to be continuing to be have no freedom in this country. I also agree that we need to have a fund, some kind of a fund, because what's happening is people are getting charged with hunting and they're being convicted. And every conviction that the government wins, it sets precedent. And so if we don't challenge those hunting laws, we're going to be always having these precedences imposed. Also, too, I'd like to say that some of the people that have been charged and convicted, they should be what's that word they use? Compensated and pardoned, because all they're doing is trying to feed their families. That's all they're trying to do when they get charged, and then they get criminal records or whatever kind of records on their profiles. Then they can't get jobs, they can't go anywhere. And so these are colonial and imperialistic powers that are doing this to us. The longer that we stay poor and our people are infested with drugs, we'll never be able to fight. That's what they want. Police won't even come into our reserves and check out a drug dealer. But they'll go and take about 10 cars with all kinds of weapons into a banned store, a private store, because somebody said they were selling cigarettes. But they'll go and raid that store, kick the people out of the store and do their thing. But they won't do the same thing with a drug dealer in the community or anybody else that's harassing our people. So it's time we stood up and had our own revolution. You know, it doesn't have to be a violent revolution. It could be a peaceful revolution. And we'll get support internationally because we're one of the few peoples that still live under colonial rule. So I thank you all for coming here today, and for the leaders and the elders that have spoken, the grassroots people. Thank you for expressing your views here, and because we need to hear that. Because it's you that, in the end, is impacted by things that happen on the ground. So miigwech and have a safe trip. And for my buddy here, Robert, he's a hunter. He tells me all the time about the things that he has to, the obstacles he has to go through just to exercise his hunting rights. And it's guys like that we need to lift up and honor because they're still practicing our treaty rights and Aboriginal rights to hunt and fish. Miigwech.
The question is about, is there going to be a fund? That question should be answered. Is there going to be a fund for that?
Well, we're going to ask, we're going to work on that. Right here. Okay, could I get the, sit down, can I get the chiefs, councillors that we have in the room stand up? Chiefs, councillors? Okay, good. Good. So they're hearing our message.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Daryl Shorting. I come from Little Saskatchewan First Nation, vice chief there. Been on council for 9 years, but I was councillor since I was 25. Back in the 90s, I was elected back then as a young councillor. My grandfathers were both chiefs at one time, back in the 70s and the 80s. My